Hi everybody, this is David Benoit, and this is my first online masterclass with Marr who put this together in the Philippines. I hope to be seeing you in August at a major tour, my first tour of the Philippines in over 5 years. And let's hope that by then the coronavirus has gotten under control so that we can continue to start doing concerts. But right now, I'd like to give you my very first online master class for those of you interested. And as Marr may have told you, I'll be offering lessons and opportunities to study with me online. So I thought I would do a little introductory course, and I'd like to get a head count maybe on how many people are online right now, find out who's listening out there in the Philippines. And I'd like to also say mabuhay to all my Filipino fans who've been following me for so many years. So let me start by saying it doesn't really matter what kind of piano you have as long as it has 88 keys like this one and it's tuned properly. Make sure it's tuned, because if you're playing on a piano that's out of tune, that's not going to help you at all. So that's the first thing. This piano, by the way, is a very special instrument. It's a Steinway 9-foot concert grand. I've had it for about 20 years, but it originally resided in the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles as a concert and artist piano. And it's here at my home now in Rancho Palos Verdes. So having a good piano does help. I started on an old upright myself, so it doesn't matter if you have an upright or even if you have an electric piano, that's okay too. But I would prefer you have the real thing, because there's a big difference between an electronic representation of the sound and then the real sound itself. So my background in piano, I started when I was about 6 years old, and I started playing by ear. And I think if you develop your ear, it's really important, and then you can start to read music. Playing by ear is really good because you can listen to melodies and just experiment with the instrument. See how this sounds. This is middle C. And the next thing would be a C chord. And there's a lot of ways to play a C chord, so that's one way. Or the first inversion, or the second inversion. Or, if you want to really get fancy, and all I'm doing is just taking a C chord and I'm spreading it out. Now I've got the fifth down here in my left hand and the third, and then the root. Now this is called a 10th. I can't quite reach it because my hands are small. That's the 10th. Then I'm going to add the 5th here, and then the 5th again, C, and then up here, I put the 3rd up there. This sounds good, you know. So you got all these keys to work with. So you can make just a simple C chord sound gorgeous. Just a C chord. Or you can get really fancy and jazzy and play a C7 raised 9 chord. And then once you start getting chord for vocabulary, you can start to improvise. And I think improvisation can be difficult, but if you just start with a basic blues pattern, that's a good start. So like on a C7, start with the pentatonic scale. That means 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? You know, repeat it again. So you just play. You just repeat that up, you know, go up. Come back down again. You know, and then you can just kind of and play around with it. Mix it up. Down, you know, all around. And that's just using your ears, having fun. Another thing I recommend is to listen to other pianists and how they play and get ideas. I have a lot of favorite pianists, especially in jazz. There's a few that are good to start with. One might be Horace Silver, who wrote this song called Song for My Father. It's a really beautiful song. And I learned that by just hearing it on the radio and just hearing listen to the melody and then putting the chorus together. And then I eventually recorded it on one of my own albums. So listening is important. Practicing is also important, but I say don't spend all of your time playing scales. I mean, that's good for some of your time, but make sure you're spending time just having fun with the piano. Just, like you're back to that C chord. Maybe you want to play it kind of funky. Back to that pentatonic. The main thing is being able to express yourself and have the background in technique. So technique, there's a few books on technique. There's a Dugnani book, there's a Hannon book, there's Czerny. A lot of books to develop your technique, and I do recommend a certain amount of time not using the sustain pedal, just really banging it out, just to really work on your technique. The C chord is C scale is one of the hardest scales to play. I prefer playing the D flat scale. It's easier anyway. So some practicing, some scales, but also have some fun. Listen to different players. Now, in terms of my repertoire, one of my most loved songs in the Philippines is a song called Take a Look Inside My Heart. And it's an interesting progression because it starts in a different key than the original. So the original is in E flat. Starts in G flat, it starts up a minor third. So here's E flat, here's G flat. And the last time I played in the Philippines, just that intro got everybody excited because they knew what was coming. Repeat it again. Resolves, it's the dominant chord to what's coming up, which is the tonic. This chord, this is E flat. It's up a minor third from C, right? And then the vocalist sings the song. I would sing it for you, but I'm not any good at singing. Is not in E flat, it's up a fourth at A flat. Then surprise, here's the surprise. Remember that key G flat? You remember that intro? Okay, we're going to come back to that now for the piano solo. Piano solo. Now what we're going to do after that, we've come back to the original key. Then surprise again, another big surprise. We go to a very unexpected key. We're on the dominant of D flat 11. Now we're going to go to C. Sax solo. once we've given you a little taste of C, now we're back to E flat, but not like back on E flat. Very subtle. We have to be subtle here when we make these key changes. We're gonna go, well, here's the common tone. The common tone is the G. So the G7, right? Now it becomes the third of E flat. Isn't that pretty? And that gets us back to the 2-5 to the original key, which is E flat. And then you have the chorus. This time, we're going to do the outro, which is the final statement of the intro, at the very end of the tune, but now we're going to do it in E flat, in the original key. There it is. Repeat it. Was one last little turn, and that was a subtle move back to C major. So one thing in songwriting is always having those little surprises. I call them the little look forward to moments, where you look forward to the next thing. Where's it gonna go? And have a little surprise awaiting. So part of playing the piano is composing, of just coming up with ideas and just letting your mind wander free. So that's some of your time. Some of your time should be the technique, but not all of it. You know, practice enough to build up your fingers, especially working out without the pedal, getting your strength together, and then just listen and be free with it. So that concludes our very, very first online masterclass. I will be doing more. I'll be talking with Marr about future classes. In the meantime, sit down to your keyboard, whatever that keyboard might be, and work out, have some fun, and we'll see you next time. Salamat po.